The most important thing when you are coming out of a university is to know how to learn by yourself. Because our task and our job and what we need to do every day is changing. And we need to learn, we need to create, we need to do the innovation. At the end of the day, it's not just, this is what you need to do, please do it. We need people who know how to think and people who know how to learn. So even if they didn't learn, valuation and at university, they would be able to learn it on the job. So they need to have this sense of self accomplishment, self learning with a lot of inside willingness to excel and to learn more. If you have this right attitude, you'll be successful in life and you'll have a successful career. If what you want is just to people to tell you what to do, then it's less attractive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode in the podcast, The Future Economist, the podcast where we talk about the future of economics education, the future of education, what is economics education, and what do economists do. My name is Dr. Yael Hadass. I'm the academic head of economics at the Rafael Rekanati International School at Reichman University, Israel. And I'm very, very pleased today to host two new, I would say, partners that I have met recently from Ernst&Young, that they are not from the university, but are going to tell us a lot about what do you do with economics after the university. So welcome, Eyal Gonen and Nir Dar. I'm so happy to have you.
Hello.
Excellent. So I think we'll start with asking you a little bit about yourselves. You are already, seasoned economists, and you can tell us a little bit about your career path from the time that you were students until today, a little bit to give us a taste about what people do with this degree.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
excellent.
start. My current position is a senior manager at the transfer pricing team headed by Eyal Gonen, our partner. And I've been working here for quite some time, more than 10 years. I started my studies abroad, actually, in New York University. I studied business economics, a double major with management. It was exciting 4 years. Afterwards, I returned to Israel and started a position at a multinational company here in Israel called Kimberly-Clark at the finance department there, and prepared a lot of budget reports and provided all the senior level management with inputs with regards to economics of the actual transactions taking place inside the company itself. Followed by that position, which was about 2 years, I successfully entered the EY profession and the firm, and started this position here in EY at a staff level. We had numerous interviews and some tests, and follow that path. I had my own buddy who was leading me while I was in training in EY. And following those years, I successfully graduated through the manager level and then to a senior manager level. The next level, of course, is the partner level, which Eyal is here to tell us also about.
Yeah, before we move to Eyal, I just wanted to ask, Nir, you talked about the stages, like, the labels of the profession, but can you tell us a little bit what happens when you move from one rank to the other in terms of your responsibility, your work?
Sure. So new graduates who are admitted here to EY, following some interviews and tests in English, of course, because most of our work here is English, At the staff level, we have a lot of interaction with the manager who is responsible to manage the entire project. Again, the project itself is finally headed and accounted for by the partner, but the manager level is responsible to head a few staff level who are entering our roles. We have to say that at least a quarter of our team is graduates of Reichman University, which we found them to be exemplary and wonderful team members. And it's all due to the very good relationship we have with Reichman and especially with Yael. And the fact that the new staff here are finding it very interesting is due to the fact that our profession, and specifically the transfer pricing department, is spearing the industry in our class of industries. We take care of a lot of industries, high tech mostly, but also other industries like fintech and agrotech, pharmaceuticals, all kinds of industries. And the graduates are really, really interested in the fact that they're getting a lot of interaction with all kinds of industries and involved with all kinds of industries. So this is something that new graduates and the team members that we have from Reichman told us in person that this is a very nice experience that they're having here in EY.
Excellent. I'm happy to hear it. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to hear about your career path.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Eyal Gonen. I'm a partner at EY. I've started here in the summer of 2000. It's almost 22 years ago.
Wow.
When transfer pricing was just, at the beginning in Israel, before we had any legislation, but still because transfer pricing is a global language relating to intercompany transaction, so it's almost similar in all countries except a few. So even though the legislation was still not in place in Israel and there were no regulation, still we started transfer pricing in 2000. The regulation came only 6 years later. And I have a degree I have a master degree from the University of Tel Aviv in economics, specializing in finance. Finance is the most, or at least in my opinion, is the best topic that you can learn in economics. And we use it a lot here in Israel, where we are doing a lot of evaluation for companies. We are valuing intellectual properties, we are valuing companies. We are valuing workforce in place, so it's very exciting, all the valuation that we are doing here for tax purposes. And of course, my background in my master in economics with specializing in finance gave me a big advantage in my career.
And maybe tell us a little bit, because you've mentioned several times the word transfer pricing, but not a lot of our listeners are familiar enough with this specific term. So maybe you can tell us a little bit if it's something that you said that already have been growing a lot in your industry. So let's say with Nir, would you like to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So I think to simplify the term of transfer pricing, we're dealing with basically intercompany transaction taking place between related parties. So for example, let's say we have Facebook, who has a company in the US and establishes a company in Israel. The remuneration between those companies needs to be according to transfer pricing regulations. Even to make it even simpler, let's say that Facebook entity here in Israel provides some kind of research and development to the parent company. The remuneration needs to be in accordance with the transfer pricing regulations set out by each country. In this place, the Israeli TP transfer pricing regulations, and that should be in line with the US transfer pricing regulations. So the work that we're providing here and the work that we're working around is basically a multinational language and regulations. So it's very interesting. We're not seeing only from an Israeli perspective, but rather from a global perspective, the same transfer pricing regulation. So in theory, we are, in theory and in practice, we are helping companies establish the correct remuneration between the related parties. Also, let's say Mercedes has a headquarters in Germany and has a subsidiary here in Israel. The same idea is applicable. Or in China, if TikTok is helping having an R&D center here in Israel, we are also assisting TikTok Israel with the correct transfer pricing that should be applied between the related parties. So as you can hear and see, our profession is very up to date. It works with all big multinationals and also with startups. Our industry is we're working with a lot of startups that are starting their operations here in Israel, but having a subsidiary abroad. So it's very up to date. It's very interesting to see how companies are establishing their transfer pricing, and the fact that our team is very involved in having conversations with the C-levels of those companies. So our team is very exposed to all of the market that is taking place right now, market conditions and the environment that the companies are operating in.
So this also requires a lot of travel internationally, or no? Or now today with the Zoom you don't need it anymore?
Post-COVID, not really. I don't know if it's a good question, a good answer or a bad answer, but post-COVID we all learned to work remotely, even with not in the office. But if I may add to what Nir just said, that in essence, intercompany transaction is any transaction. It can be involving physical goods, it can be intangibles, financial transaction. So any transaction that you can imagine between related parties, and sometimes there are transactions, for instance, services that are provided between related parties, and even the related parties are not even aware, they are not even recording the transaction because they are not aware that a transaction has occurred, or maybe one company gave to another a guarantee, financial guarantee. Usually companies don't understand that there is a transaction here that you need to price because a third party would not give a guarantee for free. So it's very interesting. We are doing a lot of unique stuff. And the world, this turmoil that we are in with all the supply chains now and the physical goods that are coming or not coming because of the wars, because of COVID, etc. Everything has an influence on the transfer pricing and the valuation of it and the quantifying it. And this is one aspect. The other aspect is all about ESG, where companies they want to become more environmental, more governance, etc. So all of this is affecting transfer pricing and valuations, and it's super interesting, and we are in the middle of it, and we are helping companies to implement the best transfer pricing structure, and on the one hand to adhere to local tax rules, but on the other hand to pay minimum taxes in accordance with law, of course.
Yeah, it sounds like you in a situation where there are probably new things happening every day, and you need to learn new even techniques, I would say, and things are changing all the time. Isn't that? It's sort of like require a lot of learning.
I have to say that EY is in the forefront in that term. We are having every other day we're having an internal EY news bulletin taking into consideration all the new regulations that take into effect globally. So in one day we can have information about Bulgaria or Romania or South America company regulations in transfer pricing that, like you mentioned, change daily. So this profession is very interesting because it's not in a standstill point. So it's moving and it's restructuring itself all the time. Each country wants to shift profits to its regime, and therefore the government is taking actions to sometimes adjust the transfer pricing. Also from a global perspective, the OECD, which transfer pricing is based on, the OECD issues transfer pricing guidelines, and a few years ago it changed some of the guidelines again. The profession itself is very changing and restructuring itself all the time. Again, it's all economies and economics that shift the changes and the trends in the industry, in the transfer pricing world.
I now am very curious to hear, given that it's a very dynamic field and you have to learn all the time and you have to have people who are also, sounds to me, need to be very independent learners. I'm actually really curious to hear about how you find your work source, how your hiring methods, not just in general tests and so on. What kind of skills are you looking for? I will start with Eyal, I think.
Well, in the current world, first of all, you need a very good English, much better than mine. Otherwise, it's very hard. It's very hard to be accepted to EY, because this is the basics. Because 90+% of our work, of our deliverables, it's in English. At the end of the day, when we are preparing something for the Israeli tax authorities, in intercompany transaction, you have also the other party. So it's never just Israel. So it can be just in Hebrew, because theoretically, if the other tax authorities on the other side of the transaction would like to see it, you must give it. So it needs to be in a language that everybody can understand. And the clients, our multinational, wants also to understand what we are doing. So it can't be just Hebrew. So English is the most important. Second, you need to be a very good economist, because if we have now a case on valuation, even if you haven't learned it in university, you need to be able to learn it on the job training. But you need to come with the economist skill set, because you need to grasp and understand the basics. Otherwise, you won't be able to do a good job and to be creative in the valuation. And last but not least, even if you have a great English and you are an amazing economist, but you cannot write, because our deliverables are in writing. Of course, we have meetings, we need to speak, it's also oral, but if you cannot write in a very precise, laser focused and present what you did and explain why your methodology is correct, then you cannot be also accepted. So there are three legs that you need. You need the English, you need the economics background, and the writing. If you have all the three, of course, we'll be more than happy to bring you to EY. It's very hard to find people with the three qualifications. It's not easy.
Wow, now I see that why you recruit a lot of my students, because we train them exactly in that. Like, we have people who are English speaking for the whole degree. We have in their third year, they have to write a paper that we really, really train them how to write. And also we are, aspiring to give them the best economics education. So I feel like, we are, adhering to your requirements, and I'm very happy about that, because this is one of the things that I would say we are the educators. We are the one who prepare the people for you, so they would be successful at the firms. And it's really important to collaborate and know what the market is looking for. So, and do you have also all kind of values you want to people? Do you have a lot of teamwork? Things like that, Nir?
Yeah, so most of our work here is a very collaborative work. The teams work together all the time. We have projects that are client facing, but with other teams, not necessarily from transfer pricing, but also from other teams in the firm, the Israeli tax, indirect tax, US tax. The person who will be very good to this position is a person who has a lot of diversity and very flexible. The fact that he can work with other teams is crucial for the success of one project, because he needs to have a good understanding of economics and understand what's the position of the client is, or the company, in order to satisfy and meet the client's requests or demands, or or the specific target of the project. So the person who would fit this kind of position is a very flexible person who likes to work in a diverse in a young team that knows how to work with other people, understand that there are different kind of people working around a project, and the fact that he's proactive, he or she, because we are very open to all people, and the fact that he or she is proactive, and they're very well verbal and able to write, are very important to the job description. So far, I have to say it was 100 out of 100% of the graduates of Reichman. So we are very, very pleased with it. Hopefully, we'll get additional more potential team members.
Yeah, first, I'm really happy you shared this with us, because I can tell you that one of the things I entered into the economics degree that was not there before, at least my time, is that almost every semester I create projects that they need to work in groups. And sometimes it's hard for them to learn to collaborate and, to make time and to plan how to work in groups. And it's really important that, if for you it's a requirement, it's really important for them to practice that in school. So I'm happy you said that. It would be easier for me now to explain how important it is to all the people who want to work alone. Excellent.
If I may add one sentence, we
Eyal,
call it
yes.
now in EY, we call it one EY. And one EY is something global. It's not just in Israel. It's all about working between different service lines. Not just, there is transfer pricing, there is international tax, we are part of it, then there is tax, then there is EY Israel. And we have many service lines, and we need to know how to team together. Teaming is everything, and this is how you bring value to customers. And this is what we are working on in the last few years. It's about one EY, teaming and bringing value to customers.
Very interesting. I also would like to know, I don't know if you're willing to share this kind of information, but our students always like to think about, okay, career path, you have the professional side, but what in terms of salaries? What can an economist expect, at the entry level, at the later level? Is there any, I don't know if this kind of information you're willing to share, but definitely our students are really willing to hear.
Well, I assume that if we will share it, the management on floor 20 would throw me from the window at floor 20. But no, I'm joking. But, it all depends on what you bring to the table. If you have the right qualifications and you have the right experience, not necessarily transfer pricing, you may earn more than someone who just graduated, even if you have only slightly higher experience. So it's really it really depends on what do you bring. Of course, there are ranges per position, but still there are variation between different candidates in the same position for the same position. And you need to make sure that you bring the most that is attractive to the employer. So, of course, they would understand what value you are bringing, and you will get a salary that is higher in the range.
Mm-hmm. And you're not going to tell us the range. Then you have problem with
think-
the 20th floor. 20th floor.
It's not a good career path now to talk about.
I think
For my career,
Yes.
not for them.
Okay, that's fine.
Career.
Listen, I told you only what you were willing to share. But excellent. Okay, we always we do have, by the way, just so you know, the labor ministry. It's not. I forgot the right name. Misrad HaKalkala. It's actually the economics ministry. They published recently a website called Avodata, in which they do summaries of of wages that people get in different disciplines, different education, and so on. And I must say that Reichman University economics is actually ranked very high there. They give you sort of statistics until like 5 years after the degree and so on. So these kind of statistics are definitely really interesting for for our listeners. So, people are, if you can read Hebrew, Avodata, that's the website. It's actually a fascinating website. It's very interesting to see, especially if you're an economist like me and you like numbers. But excellent. So thank you very much. I would just ask you last question about really the integration of education and your work. What can we do better? Do you think there's a way to collaborate that we make a better job in preparing the young students to work at firms like EY?
You want to start now?
I always forget who to direct it. I don't know who wants. You will.
You'll say. I have one thing that I would like to say, but Nir, please start.
We will start.
Just in short, I think the fact that the education world is targeted is aware of the industry. That fact is very important for students, and the fact that people like you are integrated in the industry makes the difference. The fact that you're taking the real world and moving it into the academia makes the big difference for your students, and we feel it in the ground.
In my perspective, the most important thing
I would
to
just
come
say
out of university.
Eyal is speaking. Yes, for the people in Spotify. Yes.
Yeah, the most important thing when you are coming out of university is to know how to learn by yourself. Because our task and our job and what we need to do every day is changing. And we need to learn, we need to create, we need to do the innovation. At the end of the day, it's not just, this is what you need to do, please do it. We need people who know how to think and people who know how to learn. So even if they didn't learn, valuation and at university, they would be able to learn it on the job. So they need to have this sense of self-accomplishment, self-learning with a lot of inside willingness to excel and to learn more. If you have this right attitude, you'll be successful in life and you'll have a successful career. If what you want is just people to tell you what to do, then it's less attractive.
Yeah, I must say that, I think it's also a great opportunity because in the past there was, this sort of hierarchy that people were expected to do what their boss told them to do. And it seems to me like today it's really a revolution, and it comes from really the amazing information that you need all the time to process, that you really need the people to learn on their own. And I'm happy you're saying it. I will take it very seriously into my consideration how we can improve on that. Because in the university we do, teach students, to write exams and everything, but we definitely I personally want to improve on teaching them how to teach themselves. So it's really, really fascinating. And I think we are at the end of our podcast, and I want to thank you so much. I think you really gave our students a fantastic inside view into both your field and your work, and what are the prospects, at least in in your world, to young economists. So anything you want to add, Eyal?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, of course, in EY, we have the partner, we have the senior manager, staff, but at the end of the day, yes, there is a hierarchy. Yes, there are projects that people will tell you what to do. But inside the project that they will tell you what to do, there is a lot of green space that you can do, and you can learn, and you can excel and make sure that the project would be much more efficient, that the client would be happy, that will bring the best service to our clients. And over there, it's all about self-education and bringing yourself and your attitude and your enthusiasm to the table to make sure that we are doing things differently. Because it's not just, copy, paste. We don't care just about copy, paste. We care about bringing the best service. And in order to do this, we need people to be enthusiastic and to bring their own, brain capacity to make sure that each project is done better and better each time. And me as a partner, I'm willing to learn from anyone, and any good idea I would adopt. And this is our aim at EY, to excel and to be better each time. And we really, really encourage people to contribute as much as they can.
And I'll just add that I had a great example from Eyal over the years. The fact that he taught us, but also we expect our new employees and potential employees to take full responsibility and ownership on the project that they are getting. This is something that every new employee needs to understand, that he has full responsibility, and you expect them to stand by it, be diverse, and also take ownership of the project. So I think it's not only something that you learn in the academia, but it's something that you need for real life. And this is something that was taught to us by our partner and by the previous senior manager that I was under. And this is something that is crucial for anybody who starts a new position to take into consideration.
And how can they take
And
responsibility if they are very new and they don't know what to do? How do you help them sort of gain this confidence that they can really do it?
We're helping our new students, our new employees with a buddy system. We pair them with current employees that help them start the position and help them guide them through. We have a lot of learning materials and training, online training sessions that help each person take more responsibility and understand the responsibility. We have a lot of guidance that me, myself, and other managers provide to the new employees. So there's a lot of training, and we do not let anybody fall in the cracks. We have we full ownership with the new employee. It's very important for us to have them succeed, because their success is our success, and we have like a sort of a family structure here. Um, yeah.
Eyal, you want to add
and
something?
yes, I would add that at the end of the day, on each project, we're in the service industry, so it's all about projects. We do an engagement planning at the beginning, so it's very easy to understand what are the tasks, what we need to do, and we do a planning. And at the end of the day, it helps the new staff to understand the goal, what we need to do, and to contribute faster than, we are not just throwing people into the water and you tell them, what, start swimming.
So that's, I think, reassuring. I know that even when I guide my students in their last year in the seminar paper, I think it's really hard for them to sort of transition from the student who wants to please the teacher and, do well in the exam, to the student who actually write a research paper which he or she have to teach themselves. So it's actually a really big transition. We do that in the third year, and we help them understand that they can do it. But I think it's really important once you're in the professional world and you have money involved and clients and everything, that you have this buddy system. I think it's really great to sort of help them. It's sort of like when you help a young child to learn to walk and they do fall, and I'm sure they do mistakes. It's sort of inevitable. So it's great that you have this buddy system that helps them to deal with it and solve it and grow. So that's fascinating. Thank you so much.
Last comment. We really believe in diversity at EY, and in our transfer pricing department, we have currently two female partners and only one male partner. So there are more female partners than men. So it's not just words. So at the end of the day, it's very welcoming and diverse. We have a diverse culture. And we will continue with it, and it's an amazing place to work for.
Wow, I'm so happy you said that. I have definitely female students who need to hear this. And it's fantastic that you said that. I can tell you that today I'm invited. Today at 6:30 at IDC, I'm invited to at Reichman University to a panel of women who wants to hear from senior women like me and others, about how we paved our way in our career and what kind of limits we got from the men and all kind of things like that. So I think I'm going to start with telling them about your attitude, which is very reassuring, and women definitely need to hear that. It's very exciting, and I want to thank you so much for that. And so these were Eyal Gonen, partner at EY, Nir Dar, who is a senior manager. So thank you so much to all our audience for being with us in our podcast, The Future Economist, the podcast that details the maybe the roots of and what economists do, how we study. We are in the business administration and economics at Reichman University, Raphael Reconite International School. I'm Dr. Yael Hadass. Thank you so much for being with us, and see you in our next episode. Bye bye, the future economists.